morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio, so today we need to have a little bit of a look at some new cards, including another lovely secret rare with lovely artwork by Kato. This is awesome. And this is actually a pretty big deal, because this is a card that confirms we are getting the artwork rares in Pokémon Card 151. And yes, I kind of assumed they would be in there, and I'm willing to bet that the majority of you kind of assumed they would be in there. But this is a special set. It is a different set to normal. It has got the reverse holo cards, which we don't see in regular sets. There was always the possibility that we weren't going to have artwork rares in this set, and I didn't think that was going to happen. I kind of assumed we would, but we hadn't had it confirmed. It was a different set. There was a chance they weren't going to be in there, but now we have actual proper job official confirmation, ladies and gentlemen. They are in, and that's a very big deal indeed. We thought they were going to be in, but now they are, and that's awesome. So let's start off with Tangela then. And look, this is another one of those awkward ones. And the reason it's awkward is because we know that Tangrowth exists. It's a thing. But the whole point of Pokemon Card 151 is that it's only using the actual original 151 Pokemon. That's where it gets awkward. So, like we talked about the other day with Onyx, one of the challenges of this set for the designers of the set is to try and make sure that they've actually got interesting, good cards for Pokemon that have evolutions, but they're not going to get evolutions in this set, and actually there are a bunch of them. So Tangela then, what have they actually gone and done? Well, we've got, firstly, let's just stop and look at this lovely Kato artwork. Look at the lovely Kato artwork. I've said before, Kato has two very distinctive styles. This is one of them. So if we put this next to the Graphite, for instance, that we saw in the previous set, the Graphite is still Kato, but that's kind of the other style that we tend to see. I love that Kato's doing this stuff, and I hope this carries on, well, forever. Honestly, that would make me happy. So what we've got here is single energy, 10 damage, but if you played Erica's Invitation from your hand during this turn, this attack does 60 more damage. And that's actually extremely relevant. That is a big deal, ladies and gentlemen, a very big deal. Because what it means is you're doing 70 damage for a single energy on a basic Pokemon, which, other than the attack being free, is as easy to get an attack rolling as you can possibly get. And 70 damage is the key number for KOing evolving basics. It's as simple as that. And we are in a format now where evolving decks are becoming more and more relevant. We've got routes around at the moment because of Gardevoir. We've got some 70 HP routes, but we don't have anything above 70 HP. So all of a sudden, you can go ahead here and go and get that KO on routes, and that's a very big deal indeed. Go second. They haven't had a chance to evolve yet. Go and smash one of their basics right in the face. What's the problem? You've got to play Erica's Invitation, and that's not a draw card. Erica's Invitation is the one that lets you look at your opponent's hand, find a basic Pokemon you like there, and bench it for them. It's actually a really fun, annoying card, because you can go and find stuff like Lumineon V, for instance, and then you can just bench it, and they've got a bench space taken up with Lumineon V, but they haven't used the ability Search for a Supporter card, and I find that genuinely funny. Also, I'm using the alternate art here because that alternate art is absolutely beautiful. I wanted a chance to show it off. It's a good video for artwork. But my point here is, if I'm going second turn one, I want to start getting set up. I want to start drawing cards, and I'm not doing that if I'm using Erica's Invitation. Not only that, but if my opponent's got a full bench, I can't use Erica's Invitation because I can't bench one of their Pokemon because they don't have a bench space available. This is far from perfect, and that is where I kind of run into an issue with Tangela here, because on the one hand, I adore having a basic Pokemon that can do 70 for a single energy, because early game I can be running through basic Pokemon and taking cheeky prizes, and that's hilarious. The problem is, early game I don't want to play Erica's Invitation because I need to be getting set up with other supporters. And not only that, by the time I get to the mid-game, those 70 HP Pokemon are going to be on the bench, but I can't play a supporter card to custom into the active because I have to use Erica's Invitation, and that's why this card is so tantalizing and frustrating to me. Because on the one hand, single energy, 70 damage, yes. On the other hand, you've basically got to do it without a supporter card, and that's kind of annoying. As a side note, any deck that wants to be playing Erica's Hospitality, I love Tangela in it. I'm giving it between 3 and 4 Wassies, but I don't give half Wassies, that would be barbaric. I want to like this more than I actually do, but I do think some people are going to be able to use it very effectively. And then we've got Victreebel. The reveals keep coming. Now, this is a stage 2, so it's going to have to do a lot to impress us. And it is actually a very cool card with a very big caveat. Oh, also delighted to say I did the translations for these myself, although I did check with the lovely Antoine Boulet to make sure I wasn't doing a silly. And we do have the pre-evolutions here as well. They are not hideously interesting. I don't think that's unfair to say. Bellsprout, we've got ourselves 60 HP, single energy 10 damage, and then 2 energy 20 damage, and it stops your opponent retreating. But let's face it, you're not going to put 2 energy on a 60 HP Pokemon just to stop them retreating. That's not good enough. We've then got Weeping Bell. I don't need to do any translations here. You can see how bad this card is all for yourself. And then we've got Victreebel, 150 HP, which honestly for a stage 2 is kind of trash. Not to be rude, but it's kind of trash. Single energy, 50 damage, not good enough on a stage 2. But the interesting attack here is 2 energy, 120 damage, and at the end of your opponent's next turn, place 12 damage counters on the defending Pokemon. Oh, well, that's kind of interesting, ladies and gentlemen. That's kind of interesting indeed. Because it kind of turns it into a 2 energy, 240 damage. And I say kind of because it doesn't really. I don't want to sound mean here, but it doesn't really turn it into a 2 energy, 240, but it kind of does. You see, you've got to assume they stay in the active. Now, what I would like far more, and I don't think this would make the card broken given that it's a stage 2, is if it stopped them retreating like Bellsprout, and then at the end of your opponent's next turn, put 12 damage counters on the defending Pokemon. That would be my preference here. That would make me happy. That is not what this does. So essentially what you've got to do is hit them for 120, hope they stay in the active, and then they get hit by 120 and get KO'd. The problem is, anytime they're going to be KO'd by this, they are going to be trying to retreat. They are going to be switching. So a lot of time you're not going to be getting KOs with this, but what you're going to be doing is doing 120 damage and forcing your opponent to readjust. Forcing your opponent to have to go, oh wait, now I need to get out the active. And that, I think, is the goal here. It's not necessarily that you're going to be able to take giant KOs with this. It's that you're going to be able to do good damage and force your opponent to get out of the active, and then they're not always going to have a good attacker to come in with. Sometimes they will. You know, against a Mew deck, for instance, they've got free retreat, and they're just going to set 2 Mews up, and you're going to be free hit KOing, but they're going to be switching, so it's going to be like 5 hits before you KO one of the Mew, and that ain't going to work. So yeah, it's a little bit awkward. Energy-wise, I should mention, we do have the other Erica. Okay, fine, it's Gardenia. But still, Gardenia's kind of like a later Erica. We've got Gardenia's Vigor that will allow you to attach 2 grass energy in one go. So the energy acceleration isn't a problem here. That's fine. The problem is, I don't think you're doing enough damage. And against any deck that can just kind of get casually in and out the active, they are going to be able to get around this, and that's going to be a little bit sad. So we've got two cards here with a lot of potential. I'm not sure they're going to work, but I do think Tangela could be a sneaky great card. But honestly, the big news here, and it is very big news, is that they've shown off the first of the art rares from this set. That confirms the existence of art rares, and now we can all start thinking about our favourite Gen 1 Pokemon, Porygon, and hoping that Porygon gets just an artwork rare. I mean, I know this is a lot to ask, alright? But if we could get a Porygon artwork rare drawn by Okacheke, that would make me the happiest person in the entire world. Just a thought. What are we going to score Victreebel? Let's give Victreebel 3 Wassies. I don't think it's particularly good, but you never know. Somebody might make it work. For now, I want to know what you think about these cards. I want to know anything you want to tell me. I want to know in the comment section. So go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWassie. That's where we talk Pokemon card games, all kinds of fun things. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, all kinds of fun things. Oh, and get shout-outs on the channel, like the lovely Tom the Game Nerd, who is a very lovely person, is one of our supporters. Very thanks for the support and the loveliness. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.